Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here. And let me just bring that down. So it is 12:19 p.m. where I am. So why don't we begin by discussing some spiritual aims, goals that need to be fulfilled right here in reality. I'm talking the physical world, things that you need to be doing or can do physically to help you gain better control of your spiritual nature. Okay. Speaking of spiritual nature, I am referring to your tools, your items, things that you are going to want to purchase, things that you want to buy, but not sure how to set aside and save for these things. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to literally kind of give you a little backdrop on myself, okay, and kind of give you some insights onto techniques that may work for you as well, no matter where you are in the world, okay? So I started working when I was in sixth grade, okay? Well, roughly about fifth grade, fifth, sixth grade area. And I started working for the school system. During the summer in between grades. And that actually led to being employed by the head custodial for the school system. And by the time I was in eighth grade, I had joined the junior side of the fire department. So I actually worked through middle school and high school. Okay. Not everybody is willing or able to do that. It depends if you have a ride. It depends if if you have the actual time, because a lot of people like getting into sports and they would rather be playing sports and being popular and social than to actually learning how to provide for yourself. Okay. And there are those who literally, these minors that are working to take care of their own family. Okay. So keep that in mind as well. I happen to know a few who literally are working and they're providing for their parents and their own selves. Okay. Now, the labor laws, when it comes to that aspect, you only can work a certain amount of time, but once you get to a certain age, then you can go full time and work whenever. So I believe it's like 17 now, if I remember correctly, 17, 18. About 17, you have to work between, say, for example, 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. Okay, because you're still in school. However, once you get to be 18, then you can do everything from cooking to whatever and work as many hours as you want or can handle. So you got to take that into to concept as well. And what's ironic about this is we're gonna just talk about some techniques here. So when I first started getting interested around age 11 into the occult, and I started beginning my journey into Satanism and witchcraft, vampirism, and a whole bunch of other systems that I've learned since then. A lot of these items are very expensive, and they're only getting more expensive as time goes on. As the US government puts out in their little letters that they send out to people that get financial aid and all that stuff, is that the times of living is becoming more expensive. So we're going to up the ante, so to speak. So starting at this type of day or this type of month on this year, we're going to give you, say, 25 bucks more, okay, or 30 bucks more, whatever. Now, knowing this and knowing that you have a job and all this stuff, you can actually provide for yourself and your family and save. So why don't we delve in? When I was younger, in my youth, as I said, I worked for the school system. There was a lot of things that I wanted. Things that I wanted, books, I wanted movies, your typical kid. except for my aims were more based off occultism by this time. So I was watching things like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Michael Myers, Halloween, Jack the Ripper in New York, these type of movies. And it really fascinated me because there was a lot of them that dealt around the supernatural. So that you can see where that kind of plays into account here. So as I began getting into the workforce, saving up, I ended up getting my license, paying for my driver's ed course, finished within a quarter, which normally takes about a half a year, school year, to a full year, okay, of just courses, one course, every other day, just on that. So that you're looking at roughly about $300 just at that alone. So the average person can live off probably around 50 to 60 bucks, depending on where you are in the world per week. Now, if you're like me and you get paid weekly, that's all good. Okay. So you really don't need much to survive on. Now, if you're bi-weekly, you got to prepare bi-weekly. Okay. So you got to break it down. Okay. If I'm making $250 a week, that's $500 biweekly. Okay. If you're full time, you're making anywhere between 5 to 800. Okay. That's normally roughly around 40 hours, 50 hours. If you're in the medical field, you're working roughly about 12 hours shifts. So you're looking at probably around 50 to 60 to 70 hours a week. Okay. And if you're working for a hospital, that's 3 on and 3 off, and then 3 on and 3 off, and so forth. So you take that into consideration, days wise. So what I learned how to do is I would look at my paycheck. And at the time, like I said, I was making about $200, you know, about $200 to $400 biweekly. Okay. Now you got to consider I'm paying for lunch at school. I'm paying for snacks after school. Doing all kinds of stuff. So what I would do is I would take just regular envelopes that you would send out in the mail. I would put 20 bucks in each of them. Okay, let's say 25 bucks. Just $25. Okay. And I would put it, this one here is for my rent. This one here is for my car. And this one is for saving. Okay. Let's say, you have three envelopes, three different goals, three different names. And it doesn't have to be just that, what I just named off. Okay. So let's say, for an example, I just had one envelope and I wanted to save. The rest I could do whatever the hell I wanted to do with, but I wanted to save some money. So every week I would put in roughly about 25 to $30, depending on what I could spare over between paychecks. Now, like I said, by the time I was in eighth grade, I was also on the fire department. So that's another set of income. All right. So I could take a little bit more. So right at that point, you could add $20 from that. Okay. And since that was more part time, it didn't really matter. So right there, instead of say 30, 25, 30 bucks, you're now putting in 50 bucks, 50 bucks per week or 50 bucks per month. Okay. Now, over time, as long as you don't touch that and you don't spend it, you keep it in a safe place where you know where it is, like a vault, firebox, whatever. Guess what? That's going to build up. Now, I want you to think of those water bottles. Okay. And this is another technique that works well. Okay. Every time you go shopping, not everybody uses credit cards. A lot of people deal solely in cash. Okay. So when you go to a store and you purchase a bunch of things, you always end up with change. Nowadays, especially since I work for Dunkin', now you every so often, most people want their change back. You do get some individuals who says, "Yeah, just keep the change. I don't want it. I'll take the bills, but I don't want the change." So that goes into the drawer. But what these people don't realize is that that little change, that little bit of change can make a difference in the long run. That day, that right now, it may not seem like it can, but if you take the water bottle jugs that you see, those big blue water bottle jugs, and you take four of them, okay? And every day that you go shopping, you take that change and you separate them. Pennies in one, nickels in another, dimes in another, quarters in another, okay? And you don't touch them. There was a guy that saved pennies for 40 years. 40 years. He saved nothing but pennies. Nothing but pennies. And he ended up being a millionaire. Over 40 years. Right there, today, just today, the average nest egg for retirement is roughly about $1 million, where you can live comfortably until the day you die. But we're also in a new age where you want to live comfortably at that time of retirement, but also don't want to leave your spouse or your children with the burden of paying off the funeral costs. Okay? So, one of the things that I would recommend is that you can actually set aside money. Like I said, the change, putting aside, like, say, $50 a week, $100 a week, whatever you can afford to do, and just set it aside. Okay? What I did, like I said, was I took three envelopes. Three. For me, I wanted books on the occult. I wanted to gain an altar supply, supplies for my altar, for my rituals. So I would have one envelope for that. I would have another one, just set it aside and don't even bother touching it. Okay? Within about 4 months, you can have anywhere between $400 to $1,000 saved up. And if you do it right and you don't touch it, you could easily end up with about $2,000 like that, especially if you're doing it weekly. Okay, putting 25 bucks of your paycheck. So if let's say for an example, like right now, I'm financing a car. Okay, financing a car. Once my employers take out their taxes and all that stuff, I'm down to roughly about 250, 230, about 230 to 250. Then you have the bank who I'm financing the car through. They take out another 65 per week. That's roughly $349 per month just for the car. But you got to remember that my better half also is paying off something to the bank and they attach it to my car insurance. So if you have a setup like that, it's very easy to pay off. Now you're looking at probably anywhere between 3, 6, maybe 9% average on one doesn't want to call it taxes, but it's more of interest is what you're looking at. Now you got to remember that the system is not in your best interest. That is why they teach mathematics in school. I never really paid much attention until I got into astrology and numerology. So that should tell you something. Today, my better half comes to me for math. And depending on how much I've worked, my brain is just, shut down. But what's interesting here is that there are so many different methods and techniques that you can employ to save money. Now, I want you to take a look at something here for just a second. Let's say, for an example, you've been saving for about 6 months. Okay. You've been putting in roughly about 25 to $50. Let's say $50. Okay. That's $100 biweekly. Okay. So if you times that's $200 a month. $200 a month. So if you times 200 by 6, that's 6 months. That's 1,200 right there. $1,200. That's $1,200 that you have saved up. And that's just for whatever you want to save it for. But what if you take that $1,000 and you go to one of these big branches of the bank and you turn it into a bearer bond and you don't touch it. You put it in one of their little vaults, their little boxes, and you put it into a vault. Depending on the region, a lot of banks will not have a vault that you can actually physically utilize as a storage place, not like you would in a major city like, say, Miami, New York, LA, cities like that. But if you're in one of these smaller cities, you'll probably have to, take these bearer bonds home and put them in, like, say, your private vault, a gun safe, firebox, whatever. Okay, but you don't use them. You don't cash them in. All right. Now, let's say you do another 6 months of doing the exact same thing. That's two bearer bonds at $1,000 a piece. Let's say 3 years down the road, you're looking at that's $6,000. $6,000 in 3 years just in bearer bonds. Okay. Now, let's say you continue doing this for the next 30 years or 40 years, depending on your age and depending on how you spend your money. Okay. And the method and technique that you use. Right here, you're saving a bundle just for yourself and your family. Now, you add life insurance on top of that, depending on what you do. I mean, I put in for 100,000. My better half, 25,000. Okay. And keep in mind, she makes 3 times what I make. She's a CNA. She's in the medical field and she's making anywhere between 14 to $20 an hour. Okay. I'm making $12 an hour. And yet for $37 a month, this is my life insurance. Probably about $75,000 of that my son will see, if not 100,000 more, because they actually take out an interest just to flip that to the next generation, to your offspring. Now, like I said, depending on what you're doing, you're looking at an interest rate. And that's if you go through the government and all these other businesses and corporations. If you're going through life insurance, health insurance, debt, and all that other stuff through your employer, you're actually getting that taken out of your check. And you have no idea what they're using it for. You look at your pay stub. If you get a pay stub, you can actually go to HR and actually say, "Hey, I'd like to get my pay stubs for the last, year, the last 30 days, whatever." And they give it to you. you can actually look at all those taxes. Now, I want you to add up all those taxes. That's the interest rate that they're gaining off of you, off of you, that could be going into your pocket. Okay? So I want you to take a look at this. Instead of doing that, why not go with an HMO? Okay, well, HMO government programs like say, let's go with WIC or General Assistance. Well, let's go with say for an example, food. EBT. Food stamps. I don't know. The programs that you have where you are, but you know you have main care, Medicare systems that are out there for those who can use them and use that a little extra help. Okay. These things here, you don't have to pay back. You got 6 months of benefits. So if you do need them, they're there for you. All you have to do, show your income, fill out the review every 6 months. Okay. Something cheap, easy. Go to one of those low income places like say, the alternative to regular medical, places. You can go to one of those little clinics, get checked out. You don't have to put out much, especially if you have animals. That's another expense, okay, that you have to take into consideration. We have 3 kitties, okay, 3 familiars. And ironically, they're in a triangle again: one, two, and three. And they're always around me in a triangle. Figure that one out. So the triangle of evocation. That's what it is, right there. Um, my point is that when you look at your overall income, either if you're an individual or you are in a relationship with your partner, bring your finances together. Okay. I want you to take a look at what you can afford to set aside per week. Okay. When you look at what you can set aside, then you'll be able to break that down into the sections of the areas that you want. Say, for an example, a vacation, a new car, maybe paying off some debt, whatever. Either way, these are techniques that you can use that are quite simple, both for your spiritual pursuits and that of reality. Okay. This is stuff that you can easily put forth and apply. It's tricks that they do not teach in school. It is things that they do not teach in economics class. Okay. These are things that you can easily learn to do. It's nothing too strenuous, nothing too heinous. You just got to look at what you can afford to set aside and then do accordingly. Separate it. How long is it going to take? I've got about 4,500, about 44,500 still to pay off of my car. And that's an $8,000 vehicle. Okay. That I've been paying off. And it's going pretty quick. I'm over halfway paid off on that alone just by doing some of these techniques. Now, luckily for me, I have a system with the bank. Okay. When my paycheck comes in, they take 65 bucks automatically as soon as it hits that bank, as soon as it hits the account. I don't have to worry about it. I know it's right out there and the bank has it. Okay. But if you have that question, did they take it out? Call your bank, ask. Okay. Did you take this out? Yes, we took it out already. Do you want to make another payment? No, no, no. Yeah, yes or no. No type thing. It's up to you. So this is a way that you can actually utilize to get something automatically taken care of. Now, one thing I would recommend, hands down, and this is something my better half, does had to learn the hard way, even though people were telling her not to fucking do it. is set up everything automatically, okay, to be taken out. Okay, she used to have like 6, 7 things that she had set up for automatic takeout of her account. And then she wondered, why do I not have any money in my account? I just got paid today. Why do I have nothing for another 2 weeks? You see the point. She's grown up a lot since then, but since then, but now you look at one thing. If you have a lot of debt, like say college, finances, home, whatever, break it down. Do one at a time. Certain apps are notorious, like say Credit Karma. You can actually earn interest. You can get money back for paying off your your debt. Okay, your debts. So you can actually get one of their credit cards that they recommend for you. And if you, depending on your credit score, like mine's pretty high. It's almost up into the 700s, but whereas hers is in the low 500s. So you're going to get two different types of credit cards that would be recommended to you. Okay. Now, if you're 700 and above, obviously that's considered excellent in credit. But how many Americans, how many people worldwide have excellent credit outside of the elderly? That is, my mother has excellent credit, and she's the one that taught me how to break things down because she was a single mother from the time I was 8 years old until I became an adult. Either way, she was paying for a ranch by herself, running a household with a child. Imagine breaking everything down so you can make sure that child had everything it needed, keeping food on the table, keeping a house, a roof over your heads. She's putting out over 2 grand, 2 grand a month. That's not even including the gas and oil bills, propane, repairs, auto. Think about that for just a minute. So knowing if you're an individual, you're going to have to go through this. If you're in a couple, it's more easier. If you're in a family-sized house, housing situation, boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, husband, wife, whatever. Hell, even if you're husband and husband, wife and wife, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a lot simplistic. It's a lot more simplistic if you are in a couple situation. And that's where the world is today. There's no job security anymore. There's no set boundaries for being able to save. You need to learn techniques that will help you. Sometimes it's a matter of trial and error, and you have to expand and shrink what you're doing. Sometimes it's a matter of holding back. I told my better half she's got a spending problem. She denies it, but let's face it, women are a lot better at shopping than us guys. I go in, get the things that I need, and I get the hell out. She'll sit there and browse. Oh, this is nice, and it's like, no, no, no. So, but she'll blow through 800 like it's nothing. But then when you get home and you come home from work one day and you look around, what used to be cluttered, you have a lot more space. See, women are great organizers. Okay, they are always thinking of how to improve the living situation in your home. When it comes to deals and bargains, you'll find no one better than a woman in your life. Okay. Don't get me wrong, there are some guys that actually are pretty good at that as well. I happen to know a couple myself, but still, it's right there. All right. So I want you to consider that stuff as well. Some things that will help you save as well, especially if you have a family, is when you go out to eat, look at the restaurants. What kind of deals do they have? If you go to, say, KFC, everybody likes KFC. Either the chickens or the chicken deals or the tacos. Okay, look at the board. Look at their menu. Look at what they have. Ask them, what kind of deals are you having right now? For bundles. You can get a burrito bundle for like $11 at Taco Bell. I'm talking 4 to 5 burritos and 4 to 5 hard taco shells. Okay, that's 10 of these things for $11. That's not bad. You go to McDonald's. Certain McDonald's, depending on who the owner is, has certain deals going on. You get the Big Mac bundle for $21. Okay, and depending on what you add, it's roughly about $20, about 20, $21. You get 2 Big Macs, 2 fries, a 20-piece McNugget, and most importantly, you get a soft drink. Now, we normally add a couple more drinks, so it comes to like $23, $24. But you think about that. That's one bundle that will feed you, your spouse, and your child for one meal. Now, my son's not a big eater. He's only 3, but still, depends on the day. That kid will eat you out of house and home if you let him. Especially if it's around the full moon and he's like me. But my point is, these are some other tips. When you get mail, go through your mail. You get the weekly, okay? You'll find coupons in there for grocery stores. You'll find coupons for, like, say, Burger King, McDonald's, Tim Hortons, even Subway. Okay, Subway is one of the best ones that my family likes going to, and this is why. We actually get the big thing of coupons, and you can get 3 foot-long sandwiches for like $20. And you're looking at $7.99 per sandwich, or $8.99, depending on where you go and what type of meal you're getting. Are you getting just a sandwich, or are you getting the actual meal? The meal comes with chips and a soft drink, a fountain drink. Okay, so you add this in. A lot of times you want to read the small print because sometimes you have to buy, like in Burger King, we found this out the hard way. You got to buy something to actually be able to use that coupon. Okay, but other times when you do this, it's just a matter of saying, hey, I have a coupon for such and such a meal. Okay, and they'll go, okay, what's the code for it? And you just read off the code, and they'll go, all right, come on down, and you'll get it. Okay, these are some tips that you can use to help you save money. All right, and I do highly recommend them. So when it comes to, and that's just dealing with the physical. Now, if you're looking at your spiritual pursuits, you can also apply these same methods to that technique. Okay, an envelope, maybe a water bottle, maybe whatever you want. Save it up. Just tuck it away. If you have a savings account, put it in the savings account and don't fucking touch it. Okay? And I guarantee it, before long, you're going to be, depending on how much you put in, you're going to have a huge amount saved up. I mean, some of these big names like EA Quetting, you're looking at probably around $300 for just one book. But you got to take and consider it's not just one book in that thing. You're looking at multiple books, like the Gatekeepers, for an example. Okay, the nine demonic gatekeepers. You're looking at every single one of those books, those grimoires, into a one volume tome. Okay, you go to, I mean, what is it? S. Ben Cayenne recently put out all his writings, and I want to say it was like 30. I want to say it's like $30. I think 30, 30, $40. I think, can't remember. I'll have to go in and take a look. But you see the difference. You get one of these bigger names that was trying to make it all about money, but they're trying to help you save as well. You got somebody. I paid $100 for a grimoire. I paid $200 for grimoires. Okay, I've had people make jewelry for me. Recently, there's one that I want to have made, but I haven't been able to afford it because we've kind of fell on hard times. My spouse got into a car wreck just before Christmas, and we just now, within the last week, got her a new car. Okay, so we're paying off two cars right now. We're dealing with two cars, so we have to re-evaluate our incomes and separate. Okay, and then we can begin saving again. All right, so each family, I want to stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. Every family, every practitioner's family is different. Okay. If you're trying to find tutelage and you're looking for a teacher in the arts, you're going to be paying a price either for a week, a course, or even a 3-day course, whatever. You're going to be paying a price. I want to say EA Weddings is roughly about 3 to 500. I haven't been on his site in a while, so I mean, he did up the ante on that. I do know that much on his books, but like I said, I haven't been on his site in a while. You got people who are looking for spiritual advice, divination, spells, and stuff like that. You look at Frank White. He clearly said when he moved to LA, he wasn't going to accept anything under seven figures, six, 7 figures. Okay, this is nothing new. This is stuff that has been taking place for hundreds of thousands of years. Look at the JCI, the Judo Christian institutions. 10% of your overall household income goes to the church. This, the entire congregation is supplying the minister a way to live. He's doing sermons for you. You're paying for the upkeep of the church, the renovations, the how should I say this? The van ministry, the street ministry, all the youth programs, and all that stuff. And it's up to the minister to distribute that funds equally where they need to be. But you're looking at anywhere between 50 to $100 per person. I've seen people drop $4,000 like that, and within an hour, and just a fundraiser, $24,000 was raised up just by the congregation alone, who was willing to put money into that fundraiser. Okay, I've seen this firsthand. When you're dealing with black magicians, sorcerers, you're going to be given something. But a lot of people don't realize that not everything is about cash. I mean, I charge my apprentices $75 a month. Okay, that's it. Nothing too strenuous, nothing too overbearing. And I meet with you once a week, in a live video. You know, we sit there and we commune numerous times throughout the week. You have questions, reach out to me. Stuff like that. You know, whatever. But in the old days, shamans, mystics, maguses, sages, the Hexa, the Strega, the Asha, the Ashen. Okay? If you could not pay, you did an equal trade. History has shown that those who could pay funds did so. Those who could not would give fish, they would give furs, they would give something of equal trade. for the service of that practitioner. You see, it's economics. It really is. It didn't matter if you're paying a peso or a dollar. Okay? So when you look at what you're going for spiritually or even in physical life, I want you to take a look at your community. I want you to look at the programs available to you and then set aside the necessary funds, either as an individual or as a couple. Either way, you're going to be able to save up for the things that you need. Anything worth having is worth fighting for. Okay? Remember that. I hope this has been educational. I hope it's been enlightening. And until next time, have a good day.